brother. So Jay, there I was, minding my own business, thinking about Harry Potter, as I so frequently do, when all of a sudden this huge bit of animation news drops in our corner of the internet. Shrek is getting a reboot. Guys, before we get started, I would love to draw your attention to the SuperCarlinBrothers Patreon, where we have what I believe is the best reward level of them all, the Discord level at $3, where you can pop in and basically just join the SuperCarlinBrothers community. It is literally a chat room that exists and is happening at all times. If you're under the age of 18 and your parents would like to check out the Discord before you join, we do have a new Parents Guide to Discord. And we've added a special role inside of the Discord just for parents in case they want to interact with any of our moderators just to know what's going on. So all the links to everything for that is in the description down below. Definitely check it out. But back to Shrek. I mean, the reboots start coming and they don't stop coming. Fed to the rules and hit the ground running. Didn't make sense not to live forefront. Your brain gets smart, but your head gets dumb. So much to do, so much to see, so much wrong with taking the back streets. You never know if you don't go, what are we doing? I think I maybe got some of those words wrong, but honestly, isn't that kind of part of knowing the words to that song? But seriously, this news hit my Twitter feed like a freaking bomb, and the rumors immediately started flying. So while we don't typically talk about Dreamworks on this channel, we thought today might be a good day to dive on in and figure out what is going on. I mean, movies getting rebooted in today's age is really just not that unusual. Every other movie that comes out is either a reboot, a remake, or a live action version of the original. Point is, chances are you know what the actual plot of the story is, start to finish, going into it. But so far, the reboot market has really only affected live action movies. It hasn't really found its way into the animation world just yet. Like, what do you need to remake it for? I mean, sure, you could go back and digitally remaster Shrek, which was animated in 2001 and definitely shows its age, and it's a pretty common practice. Do we need a whole new version of it though? So first of all, let's get to the bottom of what reboot even means and why it's happening for Shrek, because there are a lot of rumors going around. In case you need a refresher, Shrek was originally released in 2001 by the newly formed Dreamworks Animation, and it was super successful. In fact, the entire Shrek franchise across all 5 movies is a bit of a box office juggernaut, having brought in $3.5 billion across all movies. That is quite literally nearly double the total box office take of the Toy Story trilogy. Now, to be fair, Shrek has 2 extra movies in there adding to its total, but still, that's unbelievable. And that might sound surprising, but it's really not. I was there back in 2001, and Shrek was basically inescapable. You really, seriously could not have a conversation about waffles without somebody saying,
"We can stay up late, swapping manly stories, and in the morning, I'm making waffles."
Waffle sales were through the roof. Shrek came at a time when Disney animation was just struggling, and it succeeded because it openly mocked all of Disney's classic fairy tale tropes.
Oh, no, dead broad off the table.
The hero was an ogre, the princess could totally defend herself, Prince Charming was the villain and literally named Prince Charming. It successfully managed to make fun of everything that Disney was doing while simultaneously kind of becoming its own fairy tale. It even had a winning message, like anybody can be the hero of their own fairy tale, regardless of how you kill your fish. Hashtag swamp farts. Can't believe it and keep finding ways to use that. And whether or not Shrek actually had something to do with it or not, Disney movies have been very different ever since. In fact, Frozen even turned the tables on the whole thing again. Rather than make fun of their tropes, they actually use your expectation of the tropes to totally trip you up. I mean, they totally fooled me with Hans the first pass, but to be fair, he does smile like an idiot right here for literally no reason. Who are you smiling for? Nobody can see you. Not fair, movie. Regardless, Disney has done a wonderful job of breaking their own formula and using it against you. We see it with Mayor Bellwether, Professor Callahan, Turbo, all amazing reveals. And then of course, most recently with Moana, where they just completely removed a love interest altogether. Enough about how great Disney is, and back to Shrek. So what is the deal with the reboot? Well, the accompanying headline that I keep seeing associated with this story is that the new Shrek reboot is going going to be brought to us by the same people who brought us Despicable Me, which maybe you would recognize more if I said the Minions franchise, but it is actually the only animated franchise out there to bring in more at the box office than Shrek. And because of the headlines, I think that a lot of people are under the impression that Illumination Studios, the crew that brought us Despicable Me, actually purchased the rights to Shrek. And if that's the case, well, duh, you're gonna reboot it. I mean, that would be like if Disney bought Star Wars and had no plans to make any future movies ever. That is not the case. They are pretty much planning on releasing a new Star Wars movie every year for the rest of our lives. That's right, you will not live to see the last Star Wars movie. Enjoy going to bed with that tonight. But even that is a little bit different. The Force Awakens continues the Star Wars series. It's not just like a remake of A New Hope. Other than the whole orphan on a desert planet gets on the Millennium Falcon to go to space and saves the entire galaxy by destroying a giant space orb thing. But hey, that second orb was way bigger. Also, Star Wars is just completely open-ended. There's so much story still left to tell. Whereas Shrek literally closes the book to the story Shrek at the end of Shrek 4. So what I want to know is, what are they doing here? Are they totally remaking Shrek 1? Are they making a sequel to Shrek 4? Are they saying whatever that original story was, that's its own thing, it'll live over there, we're gonna create our entirely new own universe? And actually, it's none of those. Illumination didn't actually buy the rights to the Shrek franchise. Here is what's actually happening. Illumination Studios is actually owned by Comcast, and back in 2016, Comcast purchased another studio, Dreamworks, for a cool $3.4 billion, which is a lot. But for some perspective, back in 2006, Disney bought Pixar for $7.4 billion. And I'm not saying that one studio is worth more than the other, but the numbers are. But anyway, now we're in 2018, and Comcast, who owns both studios, is just basically taking the reins from DreamWorks and handing it over to Illumination. It would be kind of like if after Disney bought Pixar, they had Disney Animation Studios produce Toy Story 4 instead of Pixar. But for Shrek, as far as we can tell right now, it sounds like the new project is going to be more of a sequel series instead of just a direct sequel. So it'll be a lot more similar to how Jurassic World relates to Jurassic Park. But unlike Jurassic World, who brought in a whole new cast and crew, the intent, at least as far as we can tell right now, sounds like they're trying to bring back all of the original characters and voice actors. So I guess it is sort of a sequel, but also kind of not. And so far, that's about the scope of what we know, is that there is more Shrek coming. But the more fun question isn't why is there more Shrek, it's should there be more Shrek? I think it just seems weird because it seems so soon, almost like if they rebooted Toy Story and started all over from the beginning, except even that would make a little more sense. I mean, Toy Story beat Shrek to theaters by 6 years. Also, there is a new Toy Story coming out next summer, but it's not a reboot. It's the same story, kind of. We have no idea. It's confusing. But the question becomes, how long does it take before it's okay to reboot something these days? Like Harry Potter, for example, I would totally be down for a Netflix original series with nothing but like an entire season dedicated to an entire book. It would be so good. But I feel like most of the time when it comes to reboots, it means that I wasn't old enough to see the original, so I've only ever seen the reboot. Wait a second. Does this mean I'm old? I mean, like, I know I'm going on 30, but am I old enough to have seen the original and the reboot? But I guess I also just have so many other questions as well. Like, is it a good thing that they're bringing back the original cast? Or should they be like totally reimagining it some way? Like, yes, Disney is going through and remaking all of their movies, but they're all live action this time. It's a completely different feel. And I mean, heck, there's already a Shrek the Musical. Is it such a stretch to just make it a live action? Like, would it be even cooler to have the original cast, but actually in like mocap suits or something? Am I starting to think that this could actually be kind of awesome? Honestly, I have no idea. My opinion is sitting firmly on undecided at this moment. The other problem is, what purpose will it even serve? When the original Shrek came out, it was a breath of fresh swamp air. It was a critique on the whole genre and lazy writing of Disney at the time. But that's just not true anymore. Disney is killing it, and I would argue that Shrek is now in the hands of the people who are kind of the problem in the animation industry.
What?
Yeah, I'm sorry, my little minion friend. I said it. Here's the thing. Illumination released their first feature-length film, Despicable Me, and I personally freaking loved it. And And that's where you lost me. You see, this studio in particular keeps busting out box office monsters. Minions, a totally mediocre movie, brought in north of $1 billion at the box office. The Secret Life of Pets is basically just Toy Story with dogs, except not as good. And when I say not as good, I mean it wasn't good, but it did literally more than double Toy Story at the box office. The Lorax? I had such high hopes for you. Is it just me, or did I miss the part in the book when the bad guy is just some bad haircut selling bottled air? It's a pretty short book and there's a lot of pictures and I don't frequently miss things. Perhaps I was just too distracted by my truffle chip pancakes at IHOP to pick up on the message about the dangers of capitalism. Anyway, my point is that the studio's films work. They are successful films. And I understand that that's often the goal. You need to make money on your film, but it also seems like maybe that's just the only goal. Like, they're so good at making previews that make you go and watch the movie that it ends up being super successful, but maybe not as good as we want the movie to be. Which again brings us back to Shrek and my personal feelings on it. Could it be good, and should they be rebooting it? It does feel soon, all things considered, but my bigger concern is that won't matter. It cannot be good and still be successful. Because Shrek movies shouldn't just be a cash grab. They should have something to say.
Ogres are like onions.
If the original Shrek movie excelled because it was a fairy tale movie making fun of fairy tale movies, then I want this to be a reboot making fun of reboots, or an Illumination movie making fun of Illumination movies. Because that is the Shrek way. And despite all this, I'm totally still gonna go see the new Grinch movie. I'm already obsessed with the music, and they can't mess it up as much as the Lorax, right? Right? Guys, for my question of the day, how do you feel about this? Good, bad, too soon? What are all of your thoughts? Be sure to leave them in the towel section down below.
And a special thanks to these patrons who support Super Carlin Brothers on Patreon. Hey, I know you. I recognize you from the Discord. Ooh, you're looking good. Did you get a new font size? Wow. If you'd like to support us and see your name here on this list and have access to other special perks like bloopers and the show after the show, make sure you check out patreon.com/SuperCarlinBrothers.
But guys, as always, thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you'd like to see some more Disney versus the world action from us, you can click right here to see the full video about how Shrek is making fun of Disney movies, or right here to find out why there were two Ants movies that came out basically the same year. But Jay, that's all I've got for you today, man. I will see you on Tuesday.